The something shifted the moment you opened this message, and you felt it, didn't you? Not loudly. Not loudly. Not in a way you could explain to anyone else, but deep inside, beneath the noise, beneath the routine of your everyday life, there was a quiet pull, a pause, as if time itself leaned in closer just for you. That because this isn't just another message, this is a moment of interruption by design. There are times in life when everything looks the same on the outside, but something irreversible has already begun on the inside. You wake up the same, walk the same, speak the same, but nothing feels the same anymore. What once satisfied you feels empty. What once disturbed you no longer has power over you. What once confused you now seems clear. You thought it was just growth. You thought it was just maturity. And but what if I told you? It's something far more intentional than that, because there was a decision made about you long before this moment reached you. Not in a room filled with people, not in a place where voices compete, but in a realm where silence carries authority and where decisions are not debated, they are declared. And your name was spoken there, not casually, not randomly, but with purpose. You weren't supposed to know yet. That's why the process felt so confusing. That's why the silence stretched longer than expected. That's why doors didn't just close, they sealed shut. Because while you were trying to understand what was being taken away from you, something was actually being entrusted to you. Something weighty, something irreversible. You see, not every elevation comes with celebration. Some promotions come disguised as isolation. Some callings arrive wrapped in discomfort. And some of the most powerful transformations happen in seasons where it feels like nothing is happening at all. But something was happening. Every moment you chose patience over reaction, it was counted. Every time you stayed silent when you could have proven your point, it was recorded. Every time you walked away instead of lowering yourself to the situation, it was witnessed, not by people, but by heaven itself. And that's the part no one told you. That your quiet obedience carried more weight than public recognition. That your unseen discipline spoke louder than visible success. That your restraint, your endurance, your refusal to become bitter was building something inside you that could not be given overnight. You were being refined, and refinement doesn't feel like progress. It feels like pressure. It feels like being stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. It feels like questions without answers, prayers without immediate responses, effort without visible reward. But that's the nature of true preparation. The cares what's coming cannot be handled by who you used to be. That version of you, the one that reacted quickly, doubted deeply, and relied heavily on external validation, that would not survive what is being placed in your hands. So that version had to be stripped away, not all at once, but piece by piece, moment by moment, choice by choice. 3 or 4 in the until one day, without even realizing it, you started responding differently. Situations that once shook you, now barely move you. Voices that once influenced you, now sound distant. Confusion that once clouded your mind, now dissolves into clarity. And you didn't announce it. You didn't post about it. You didn't even fully understand it. But it was happening, a quiet transformation, a steady alignment, a shift that didn't ask for attention, but carried undeniable authority. This is what happens when the unseen decision begins to manifest in the visible world. Not instantly, not dramatically, but undeniably. Because true authority doesn't arrive with noise. It settles, it anchors, it changes how life responds to you. And you've started noticing that, haven't you? Things don't affect you the same way anymore. Certain environments feel uncomfortable, even if they once felt normal. Certain conversations feel draining, even if they once excited you. It's not that you've become distant, it's that you've become aligned, and the alignment requires separation. Not from people necessarily, but from patterns, from mindsets, from cycles that no longer match who you are becoming. And that can feel lonely, because not everyone will understand the version of you that is emerging. Some will try to pull you back into who you used to be. Some will question your silence. Some will misunderstand your distance. But what they don't see is that you're not withdrawing, you're ascending. And ascension is not always visible to those who are still standing at the same level. That's why this season required so much from you. But not just strength, but restraint, not just faith, but patience, not just belief, but endurance. Because what's being placed on your life now is not temporary. It's not seasonal, it's not something you can step in and out of. It's a shift in identity, a shift in responsibility, a shift that will change how doors open for you, how people respond to you, how opportunities find you. And here's the part that may surprise you. It was never about proving yourself, not to people, not even to circumstances, because the decision was already made. The what you were going through was not a test to determine if you were worthy. It was a process to prepare you for what had already been assigned. Let that sink in. You weren't being evaluated. You were being prepared. That's why some battles felt unnecessary. That's why some delays felt confusing. That's the why some endings felt abrupt. Because they weren't punishments. They were alignments. They were removals of anything that could interfere with what is now unfolding in your life. And now you're standing at the edge of something new. Not fully inside it yet, but no longer where you used to be. And that space, that in-between, can feel unsettling because you can sense that something is coming. Dine feel, but you can't fully see it yet. You can feel the shift, but you can't explain it. You can recognize that you're different, but you can't define exactly how, and that's okay. The precise clarity doesn't always come before the transition. Sometimes it comes through it. Sometimes understanding follows obedience. Sometimes vision becomes clear only after you've taken the step forward. And that's where you are now, on the edge, not of uncertainty, but of revelation. Because what's about to unfold in your life will make sense of everything you've been through, every delay, every disappointment, every moment where you felt overlooked, misunderstood, or forgotten. None of it was wasted. None of it was random. All of it was part of a process that was leading you to this exact moment. The A moment, where things begin to align. A moment where what once felt heavy starts to feel purposeful. A moment where what once felt like a loss reveals itself as protection. And when it begins, it won't announce itself with noise. It won't demand attention. It will unfold quietly, steadily, powerfully. You'll notice it in the way doors open without struggle, in the way clarity replaces confusion, in the way peace remains, even when circumstances shift. Because when something is aligned, it doesn't require force. It flows. And that's how you'll know. This isn't something you chased, that this is something that found you, because it was always meant for you. And now, the only. And now, the only. The question that remains is not whether you're ready, but whether you're willing to fully step into it, to trust what you feel, even when you can fully explain it, that to move forward, even when the path isn't completely visible, to accept that the version of you that exists now is capable of carrying what once felt impossible, because you are not who you used to be. And what's coming is not meant for who you used to be. It's meant for who you have become. So don't shrink back. Don't question the shift. Don't try to return to what feels familiar, just because it's comfortable. Because what's ahead of you is far greater than anything behind you. And you didn't come this far just to stand still at the edge. You were brought here, to step forward, into alignment, into authority, into the reality of a decision that was made about you, long before you ever realized it. And now, it's beginning. It didn't start with noise. It started with a feeling you couldn't explain, the kind that lingers long after everything goes quiet. The kind that makes you pause in the middle of your day and wonder why something feels different, even when nothing around you has changed. You tried to ignore it at first. You told yourself it was just another passing thought, just another emotional wave that would fade like the others. But it didn't fade. It stayed. It followed you. It showed up in the stillness, in the silence, in the moments when you were alone with your thoughts. And slowly it began to grow. Because what you're feeling isn't random. It's not coincidence. It's not something you imagined into existence. It's a signal. A quiet, steady signal that something beyond your understanding has already begun to move in your favor. But here's what makes it unsettling. It didn't come with instructions, no clear explanation, no detailed plan, just a shift, a subtle, but undeniable shift. And shifts like this don't happen without a reason. There are moments in life when everything seems to slow down, not because nothing is happening, but because something significant is being set into place, something that cannot be rushed, the something that must unfold at the exact right moment. And you've been in that moment longer than you expected. That's why the waiting felt heavy. That's why the silence felt confusing. That's why it seemed like nothing was changing, even when everything inside you was. Because while you were looking for movement on the outside, something was being rearranged on the inside, piece by piece, layer by layer. The you were being prepared in ways you couldn't see. And preparation rarely feels comfortable. It feels like pressure. It feels like being stretched beyond your limits. It feels like letting go of things you thought you needed, only to realize later that they were never meant to go with you. You lost certain connections. You outgrew certain environments. You distanced yourself from things that once felt normal, and you didn't always understand why. But now, it's starting to make sense. Because you can't carry old versions of yourself into new levels of purpose. You can't step into alignment while holding on to what no longer aligns with you, so things had to shift. Not all at once, but gradually, until one day you looked around and realized you're not the same anymore. The way you think has changed. The way you respond has changed. The things that once mattered so much, they don't carry the same weight anymore. And it didn't happen overnight. It happened through moments. Moments where you chose growth over comfort. Moments where you chose silence over reaction. Moments where you walked away, even when staying would have been easier. Those moments built something inside you. Something, the G solid. Something steady. Something that cannot be easily shaken. And that's exactly why this next phase requires who you are now, not who you used to be. Because what's coming isn't small. It isn't temporary. It isn't something that will pass quickly and leave you unchanged. It's something that will shift your entire direction. Something that will open doors you didn't even know existed. Something that will place you in situations where your presence alone carries weight. But here's the part most people don't realize. Moments like this don't arrive loudly. They don't come with announcements. They don't give you time to fully prepare. They arrive quietly, almost unnoticed at first, until suddenly everything begins to change. And you realize, this is it. This is what all those moments were leading to. This is why things didn't work out the way you expected. This is why certain paths closed. This is why you had to grow in ways that felt uncomfortable. Because you were never being delayed, you were being directed. And direction requires trust, even when you can't see the full picture. Even when things don't make immediate sense. Even when it feels like you're stepping into something unknown. Because the truth is, you are stepping into something unknown. But unknown doesn't mean unprepared. It doesn't mean uncertain. It doesn't mean uncertain. It means new. It means unexperienced. It means something your past self wouldn't have known how to handle, but your present self is ready for. And that's why this moment matters. Because you're no longer waiting for something to begin. It already has. You're no longer hoping for change. You're standing in the middle of it. You're no longer becoming, you are becoming visible. And once it becomes visible, there's no going back, no returning to who you used to be, no shrinking into old patterns, no pretending you don't feel what you feel. Because once you recognize the shift, you can't unsee it. And that's where the suspense begins to build. Because something is closer than you think, closer than it has ever been before. You felt hints of it, small glimpses, moments where everything seemed to align perfectly, even if only for a second. Those weren't accidents, they were previews. Previews of what your life is about to look like on a consistent level. But previews don't last long. They come and go, just enough to show you what's possible, before everything fully steps into place. And now, you're standing in that space again, that quiet, almost unnoticeable space, where something is about to shift. You can feel it in the way your thoughts have slowed down, in the way your focus has sharpened, in the way certain things no longer distract you the way they used to. It's like everything is aligning just beneath the surface. The waiting, building, preparing for the moment it all comes together. And here's the part that changes everything. It's not going to happen the way you expect, not in the timing you predicted, not through the path you imagined. It's going to happen in a way that makes you stop, in a way that makes you question for a split second if it's real, in a way that makes everything you've been through suddenly make sense. And when it does, you won't need confirmation from anyone else. You won't need validation. You won't need explanation, because you'll feel it, deeply, clearly, undeniably. But until that moment arrives, there will be silence, there will be stillness. There will be that strange, unexplainable feeling that something is about to happen, without any visible sign of it happening yet. And that's where you are right now, right on the edge, but right before the shift becomes visible, right before everything begins to unfold. So don't rush this part, don't try to force clarity, don't go looking for answers that haven't revealed themselves yet. This moment, this quiet, suspended, almost invisible moment, is where everything is being finalized. And when it breaks, when that silence finally gives way, when what's been building beneath the surface finally rises into your reality, it won't come as a loud explosion, it will come as a realization. A sudden, powerful understanding that hits you all at once, that the moment you've been sensing this entire time, the one that felt just out of reach, the one that made everything feel different, without explanation, the one that followed you in silence, has finally arrived.